Morning. This is meaningless, this ending, without it. Something like that. Yeah, whatever. This one's called Drunk in Balham. I was in Balham. I was drunk. I wrote it on the tube home from someone's birthday party. I didn't play the saxophone on the tube.
I'm cool, so cool. Everybody wishes they were like me, 'cause I'm cool, so cool. Kinda kooky, but interesting. Just wait till they see me. Wait till they see me. I'm gonna
Why there is
So much to talk about today.
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 So much to talk about.
This is a waste of time.
Hello. Oh, here we go. Stand by, everyone. Stand by for applause. Thank you, Jane. Thank you for my round of applause. You can send your applause to nottoday@swanbest.com and join that hearty throng of one. So much excitement on the YouTube streaming live this morning. Everyone's filled with banter and fizzing after yesterday's show with Davey, where we had some plop plop fizz fizz action, by which I mean an Alka-Seltzer advert featuring Sammy Davis Jr. Everyone is. Neil says, I'm plop plop fizz fizzing at the Prospect. And also, Jem has got his banter gun ready. We're all ready for some Friday morning top bants, Neil says. It's very exciting. Steph says, I'm fizzing like a bottle of banter. Everyone's very excited. Anyway, welcome to all of you. 100,000 plops and fizzes. Again, this is just for the patrons now. Anyway, good morning and welcome. And first things first, the by-election in Chesham and Amersham was won by the Liberal Democrats last night. Sarah Green, the Liberal Democrat candidate, secured 21,500 votes, giving her a solid majority of 8,000 over Tory candidate Peter Fleet, who had 13,000. Well, she was very good on Saturday Superstore. I think it's worth sharing this bit of audio. This was tweeted by @LadyHarjar. Palpable shock and rather graceless attempted exculpatory concession speech from Peter Fleet, the losing Chesham and Amersham Conservative candidate. I kind of love this. He's standing in front of a bank of vending machines, which makes it so perfect. You can hear the hum. Can you hear the hum there? It's perfect. Well framed, sir.
Well, clearly this was a very disappointing result. Not the result that I was expecting, nor my team.
No.
I congratulate the Liberal Democrat candidate on her victory.
Yeah.
And I hope that she finds the best possible way to serve the constituents to which she has promised so much.
Ooh.
It's absolutely extraordinary result, which must take into account the fact that the Liberal Democrat Party didn't just throw the kitchen sink at this constituency.
Here we go.
I think it was the microwave, the table, the oven, the dishwasher, the dog, the cat, and anything else.
Yeah, that's very good. Good gag. Top gag. Well done. Jem says, in honour of the Conservative and Unionist Party's performance in the Amersham and Chesham by-election, can I suggest some Alka-Seltzer songs? Britney Spears' infamous "Oops, I plop plop fizz fizzed it again." Yes, I was asking for your plop plop fizz fizz lyrics. Gautier's famous, somebody that I used to plop plop fizz fizz. That's good. Yes, the plop plop fizz fizzes came thick and fast. Pablo machine gunned us with them. Got your tummy rumbling, but you're heading on the highway. Grab some Alka-Seltzer. Plop plop fizz that pain away. Yeah, darling, you should make that happen. Save all the belches from your face. Trap wind will be no longer, although you won't like the taste. Born to feel mild. It was an itsy bitsy teeny weeny plop plop fizzy grot bikini. Fizzy grot. Where did that come from? Love it. Jesus Christ, superstar, plop plop fizzed his Alka-Seltzer. And finally, the wonderful Spice Girls. If you want to be my lover, you got to plop plop fizz my friends. I'm constantly plopping and fizzing. Anyway, I hope you all enjoy that. We do need to move on though, because we've had some WhatsApps.
You can WhatsApp Jake, yeah, on 07862 032 654.
Here's one. Hello, Harriet from Hemel Hempstead here. How alliterative of you, with my John Holmes figurine swap shop offer. What? Yes, I have a complete set of European Union Johns. From which era? Each resplendent in the national costume of the country. The sight of German John in his lederhosen is truly magnificent. Well, having shared a bath with him. Anyway, I would be interested. Do you know that story? Have you listened to a book at bath time? It's somewhere on the, if you go to BBC Sounds or the BBC website, it was on Radio 4 Extra. It was an erotic novel. Me and John, I wrote it. John read it out, and we sat in the bath. We really did it. It's worth checking out. It's a good listen. Anyway, Harriet says, I would be interested in any home counties or home countries Johns, especially Scottish John, so that I can check what's under his kilt. And on that note, Pat has emailed nottoday@swanburst.com. Plop, plop, fizz. Plop, plop, fizz to you too, Pat. Hey, Jake, and the appliance of science. Oh, that's good. Good throwback. Got really lucky there. Picked up 2 complete John Holmes Savannah Safari sets with accessories. The accessories are so hard to come by. It says on the box, put the whip into Whipsnade and the woe into Woburn. So I have one for a swap. The set includes John's signature Land Rover with antelope lasso and rhino nets. What? The John with this one is all dressed up for adventure, with a fetching 1970s tan safari suit, tranquilizer dart rifle, shudder to think, and pith helmet. I looked it up. These go back to the 1920s. It seems they're intended to keep your head from getting covered in pith while striking through the jungle. Or indeed, Camden. I will swap for a John Holmes stunt copter from the John Holmes all-action Hollywood stunt blast set. Keen to find any takers. I bet you are, Pat. Come off it, mate. Get real. Have a haiku-full weekend, everyone. No, absolutely not. Not on your Nelly. Anyway, there's kind of, well, 2 things. One, I apologize. I did not do my homework. I do not have a musical for you. It was like 8:45, I think. And I had the lyric, but the lyric wasn't good enough. And I sort of felt a little heavy-hearted about the whole thing. And I didn't do it. Frankly, if it's not good enough, I'm not going to present it to you. I'm like one of those, slightly precious chefs. I threw the plate out. The dog ate it. So I haven't done my homework. But there's a kind of... there's a nettle to grasp. And it's something that publicly I've very much refrained from talking about. Here's a story from The Telegraph. This is from a few days ago. Comedian claims he was snubbed for gig because he is a white, straight, able-bodied male. It's a guy called Nick Dixon. He's apparently enjoyed successful tours in the UK and US and was selected to write jokes for Disney's Aladdin remake starring Will Smith. J'adore Will Smith. Despite his track record, The Telegraph says, the comedian has claimed that he was overlooked for a gig because he fitted into the category of white, straight, able-bodied male. And the performer warned that white male colleagues face the same scrutiny over their identity. He shared a message that one of his supporters received when they suggested to a comedy club promoter that Mr. Dixon should be booked. The message, reportedly from the club promoter, states, I kind of have a million billion really good white, straight, able-bodied male comedians I can call upon. I'm trying to find more of the opposite. When I say the opposite, I don't necessarily mean a black gay woman in a wheelchair. That's a joke there. But I've seen how hard it is for female acts, black acts, etc. to get on good bills, and it's good to mix it up with character acts. The comedian told the Daily Express, this has happened to... I don't know how he talks. This has happened to basically every straight white comedian I know. Whether it's live or TV work, everyone this happens to feels it's wrong, though they might not admit it publicly. It's thought that... Well, he described this as a cack-handed attempt at social engineering. Says it doesn't help anyone. Mr. Dixon's warning about discrimination in comedy comes after the campaign for common sense last year estimated that 2/3 of prominent comedians currently working are left-leaning. In August 2020, the BBC, under the new leadership of Director General Tim Davie, safe pair of hands, guys, indicated it would be addressing the perceived political imbalance in its comedy offerings. That's why they hired Jeff Norcott to ensure diversity at the broadcast area. We touched upon this at the beginning of the week, I think, with Mick, unless that was another fever dream. We talked about that it's not that comedians are left-leaning, it's that comedians attack. You punch up, you attack the people with power, right? The people with power are right-wing right now. Therefore, yes, we should probably be coming at it from the left, doubtless, when there's a glorious revolution. And Jeremy Corbyn is once more restored to his rightful throne. Not that they bloody want a throne. We can all start attacking him for his shortcomings. But that is the purpose of satire. It is to, through comedy, speak truth to power. I'm in a quandary in as much as this is a syndrome within my industry, and I'm not saying it's the same for everybody, but I can talk about my personal experience, which is 3 separate employers, 3 separate companies, 4 separate potential sort of avenues of work. I heard directly from them that whilst they would like to employ me, my particular demographic was a barrier to them employing me. They either couldn't hire me because I was male or because I was white. And that's what I was told. You know, this isn't me in a slightly paranoiac way saying, "Oh, I'll tell you what, mate." It's literally what I heard verbatim. And so some work that I'd enjoyed sporadically for well over a decade, overnight dropped off. This was 2 years ago. It literally just fell off. And where this comedian, Nick Dixon, is wrong is where he says, whether it's live or TV work, everyone this happens to feels it's wrong, though they might not admit it publicly. That's where he's wrong. I think broadly, it's a good thing. It's the right thing. There does need to be a redress of balance. So I don't agree with him in that respect. But I can't feed my family. And I'm stuck in this position sort of after 2 years on from that kind of moment. There was some sporadic work last year, but this year it's really kind of completely gone. And I've got to make changes. I mean, I can't not address it. I joked when I went to Radio Leeds. This was 10 years ago, just over 10 years ago. So I used to, before I sort of went full-time writing and performing, I made promos. So what you do is you get given a few programs of Bargain Hunt. You snip bits up and you say, this afternoon at 2, Bargain Hunt. And then you cut together some clips. And then the voiceover says, Bargain Hunt this afternoon at 2. And I quite enjoyed it. I liked it because you got to write a bit, you got to edit a bit. It's quite a fun job. But I was kind of struggling with it, and there were other things that I wanted to try. So I went from that. I got the break working on Sean Keaveney's show. Now, to do that, to make that jump from doing, frankly, a fairly nondescript job in production to writing and performing music and comedy on the radio, I halved my income overnight. I took a 50% pay cut to do that. I wasn't really getting anywhere with that. I wasn't really... nobody really knew who I was. People basically thought it was Sean Keaveney. So I got a thing on Pick of the Week, and it was back announced as Sean Keaveney and team, and that was when I knew I kind of had to go because nobody knew who I was. So I went to Radio Leeds, where they offered me some radio shows, and again, I took a 50% pay cut to do that, and that was absolute subsistence level. I mean, that didn't really, I mean, there's always little bits of work that come along, little occasional bits of work. And, there were voiceovers occasionally for TV promos, and they kind of topped it up. And that sort of kept me afloat. But that was a tough time. And I ended up based in Leeds and, sort of mega bussing it down. There was one day when I took the mega bus from Leeds all the way to London to go to a studio and read out 17 words and then megabus for 4 hours all the way back to Leeds. But it was worth it because it sort of kept that income stream going, which saved me then subsequently in subsequent years. So that's 50% pay cuts. And the problem is doing this podcast with all the amazing support from patrons, which I can't tell you how much I appreciate because it is literally my only source of income right now. But it's another 50% pay cut. So I'm on an eighth of what I would be on if I was sat in an office cutting promos for Bargain Hunt. And I can't afford to do it. Now, that's not to say the podcast is going away. Don't worry. Daddy loves you, and he's not going away. But I do have to try to be responsible, and I have to figure out how to make a meaningful contribution to the household income. There is a slight problem, with if and here's the thing. I've heard stories about people who work in effectively production who are now taking their former employers to court for effectively, I think, constructive dismissal because they basically got fired overnight because they just didn't really fit the groovy profile that's required nowadays. And I've heard quite a lot of stories. This is a thing. The effect of that, this kind of overnight dropping off the cliff of income, and no one should expect an income, and it's not that, but there was a sort of a reasonable prospect, and that prospect has gone. I mean, just evaporated. And so what's happened to these people, men chiefly, because that's part of the problem. And I totally take on board Jill Soloway, when she did her amazing talk, which you should listen to if you get the chance, about the female gaze, when she said, I get men who come to me and say, what should we do? What should we do about this? And she said, just stop. Just stop making stuff. Okay? For like 100 years, and then we'll talk. And it got a good laugh in the room, and quite right too. And I sort of laughed in that slightly uncomfortable way I do. It's hard not to heed that. But all of these people, they have families. So what's the knock-on effect? The knock-on effect is that then, if they can't find work, these men, then the women, their partners, are then having to go out and support the family. And so they're then having to juggle who knows what, childcare, and the fact that women earn less money means they're probably having to work harder and longer and take rubbisher jobs, and that's a problem. That's kind of where we are in this household. We're really lucky in as much as Kim can drum up work, but it's not as straightforward for her as it sounds, because a lot of the work she does doesn't get sold immediately. In fact, there are paintings that Kim did over a year ago that haven't been sold yet for various reasons. And so that's just sort of just stuff sitting around that's not generated any income. And so it's pretty hand to mouth. It's very hand to mouth. Well, to the point where it's not sustainable. I'm now living off money that's put away to pay my tax bill. So, at some point the train is going to smash into the wall in that respect. So, what does that mean? It means I have to, at the very least, I have to reduce the amount of time I can commit to this podcast, because I've got to find new sources of income and probably get some sort of an office job. Do offices still exist? I don't know. For now, in the meantime, I'm proposing to cut the podcast down to 3 a week. I think we'll do Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So we'll still have Davey. Don't worry, Uncle Davey's still there, still lingering in the darkness. We'll have Wednesdays, and we'll do Mondays too, and we'll see how that goes. I mean, you could argue it doesn't really necessarily make any difference, in as much as, well, if you're not working, you're not generating in it. But I need to sort of refocus a little bit, because at the moment, with this podcast and the other podcast I do, which at the moment is generating zero income, I'm working full time in sometimes quite antisocial hours for £100 a week, and that is not meeting my bills. So there we go. In terms of what that means for patrons, that's up to you. I mean, I'm not gonna, it's a reduction in service. We can look at how we structure the benefits. I'll still be doing the watch along and stuff like that. But there's a nagging feeling that after 13 years of having managed to kind of live by my wits, I need to wrap that up a little bit, because it's not working. I'm not working. All of which sounds a little bit melodramatic and self-pitying, and I don't mean it to. I'm okay, but it's not like the greatest moment in my career. That's for sure. So there it is. I will see you on Monday, and all will be well. Don't worry about that. But there's some other stuff to get through. I mean, I hate to lump bad news on top of bad news, but there's some poetry for you now. Lindsay has been in touch. It's not today at swanburst.com. So Lindsay says, hi Jake, when you mentioned poetry, I remembered that I wrote some of that back in college. Well, didn't we all? So I wrote a sestina for you, Cousin Davy, and the Apostles. A sestina, if you don't know, is a French-style 7-stanza poem that features a motif of 6 repeating words. Enjoy! That may be a stretch, Lindsay, but we'll give it a go. It's very cleverly done, though, I must say. A sestina for the Apostles. It all started when I told David Alt that I would throw tea, because of course I'm American and that's what I do, into the harbour. And he in turn introduced me to some Yapostles, who turned out to be quite lovely. We did laugh and sing and listen to Cousin Davy and heard a Spring-Heeled Jack musical. And now once a week we brainstorm a musical, usually over hot cups of tea. We listen eagerly to musical oddities from Cousin Davy. No ill will do we harbour, for we found that it's quite lovely to be a member of the Yapostles. And you may ask me, who are the Yapostles? We have Julie Prunes, who is melodious and musical. The various Neils and Davids, plus Owen and Carenza, all so lovely. Let's not forget Barney, and pour cups of champagne and tea just for Jake Yap. No, don't put the tea in the harbour. And the ever-amusing Cousin Davy. Though sometimes we say, no, no, Uncle Davy. A joke amongst the witty Yapostles. He digs through the internet's vast and unknown harbour for curious curios of the mostly musical variety. Funny enough to make you spit out your tea, and occasionally quite lovely. I'm sure I'm forgetting more people, all of them Lovely. Though no one could ever forget Cousin Davy. And to think it all started over an argument about tea, which led to bake-offs hosted by apostles and several amusing musical numbers about political things I don't understand because it's not tea in the harbour. But we can throw Boris Johnson and Donald Trump in the harbour. My, that would be lovely. We can listen to a musical produced by intrepid Jake and mischievous Cousin Davy, performed by the apostles, and will... Wait a minute. David Alt puts milk in his tea? Screw it. I'm throwing that in the harbour. Then Cousin Davy will probably play more lovely things, all for Jake's. The apostles will write a rollicking musical, and I'll throw out the tea. That was amazing, Lindsay. Thank you so much. There's also a bonus haiku for Jake. Here we go. Absolutely not, said Jake Yap. Absolutely no haikus ever. Glad we stuck to that. Love you guys. Thanks so much for all your support. We'll all be fine. Anybody fancy a drink? Patrons, we'll do a watch along tonight. I think we'll go for something very, very strong. Or Irish Paint Magic, one of the two. I'll see you on Monday. Have a wonderful weekend.
This has been a Swanburst Media production.